What's the stupidest thing you've been punished for at school? Filling in a worry sheet about a girl who had been bullying me in year 7. Because she denied she did it and according to the teacher, was such a lovely girl. Not wanting to use unnecessary accommodations. I have a mild physical disability. But I was perfectly capable of walking up downstairs, carrying all my books, and taking regularly timed tests. But the school got sweet no child left behind $ for providing accommodations. So I got pulled out of class into meetings where I was told to drop the whole independent act and get my attitude together. They told me that they knew how much I was struggling, and that it was all for my own good. I didn't play along. They proceeded to pull me out of my AP classes once a semester to test my reading fluency. TLDR. If you're disabled, your school can make up rules that will be against you every time. Around 5th grade I was shoved through a window by a playground bully. The school made me, well, my parents, pay for the window. Eater. I was very lucky and only went part way through before I recovered my balance. The shoulder and arm of my shirt were shredded. The t-shirt underneath was sliced up. I was unharmed. Broken glass is scary sharp. The amount of money was small. I believe they demanded payment from the kid who shoved me as well. No idea on the percentages. The principal's theory was you shouldn't have been roughhousing near the building. My dumbfounded response that I wasn't roughhousing. I was walking back from lunch when I was shoved through a window did not impress him. Did my parents actually pay? No clue. I was a kid. When I told my parents what had happened they told me not to worry about it. That they'd take care of things. Equal odds that my dad paid the bill or that my mom tore the principal's head off. You should have sued. Falsely accused of stealing a ball at recess. Also, told I wasn't allowed to play solitaire with physical cards during lunch because playing cards equals gambling. I posted about this before as a long story so I will make it short here. In 5th grade a group of friends and I basically went into the boys' room to PSS before going back to class. On the way in some kids were exiting. Inside we found a stink bomb. We went outside to tell an adult what we found. She took us to the principal's office. The principal interrogated each of us individually. Apparently someone needed to be punished for the stink bomb. It made no sense since we only found it. He didn't deploy it. Most of us, or at least I thought the kids leaving the bathroom before we went unlikely did it. But that didn't seem to matter. We didn't know their names or anything either. So the principal gave us an ultimatum. Either one of us would be punished or all of us would. We decided to go out together. I still remember this fairly well because it was such a stupid and dumb example of injustice. We were trying to do the right thing but got punished as if we were the culprit. Not exactly a punishment. But in 2nd grade my teacher marked my spelling of the word I wrong on a test because the bottom and top lines for the letter were right on the lines of the paper. Until that point I had never gotten a single mark off of a spelling test. This would be really confusing in a spelling bee. Your word is I. That is correct. Listen. I work in a school. And I need all you young people to know this. If an adult seriously ducks you over at school, tell another adult and repeat that process until someone cares. I have bitched out co-workers for micromanaging kids. Have revoked unfair punishments. Etc. Get someone to care. Whistling in the bathroom in 1st grade. In 1st grade I did a page in my math book a day early and I got in trouble for it. Even as a 6-year-old I could tell that was bullshit. I've waited all my life for this moment. I was in 4th grade and there was a new kid who had just moved here from Europe. I decided to be nice to the kid and asked him what his name was. He told me later so me being American in America just assumes his name is Lettuce. So me and Lettuce spend the whole day playing together and I show him around. Fast forward to the end of the week. I get called down to the principal's office for bullying some kid. Guess who I see there? Goddamn Lettuce. Apparently he thought I was name calling and reported me to the teacher, which almost got me suspended. 2nd grade, I won a mini fold up calendar for something. I was so proud of myself for winning something for once. But when I wouldn't stop fiddling with it in class, the teacher took it back and ripped it up in front of me. To that 2nd grade teacher who made me cry so hard that I was sent out of the room. Go duck yourself. Not me. But a friend got punished because his Xbox Live username was something like Long Donkey back in the day when we were in middle school. Apparently someone else's mother reported it. It was a private Christian school. Which explains it. But still. Mike, if you're reading this, never forget. Okay, what? How can they punish you for something outside of school? That is none of their concern. Like WTF, people. When I was 12, a girl at my table told a joke and I laughed. I got detention. She didn't. I wrote everyone a Christmas card in my class when I was like 5. It took me ages. I spelt one kid's name wrong and he cried and I was the baddie. Duck you lime. His name is Liam. Go stand in the corner. I farted in class once and the teacher made me stay after to call my father and tell him what I did. What was your father's reaction? My high school had a massive problem with people being late to class. And decided that after 3 years of doing nothing, they needed to get off their asses and do something about it. I was always notorious for walking in about 5 seconds before the last bell. I did down to a goddamn science. However, no teachers ever really cared. I would always be in my seat before the bell and never disrupted anything. One day all of our teachers were instructed by the principal to close and lock their doors 1 minute before the bell and send anyone who came after that to the main hall to register for detention. A little over 100 students were punished as a result of this. Many of which had their lockers in a separate building because the main building didn't have enough. And needed to grab supplies for their next class. TLDR. Roughly 100 of my classmates and myself were punished for being on time to class. I was taking a test in a class taught by a teacher who was very paranoid about cheating. She would patrol the aisles between desks and angrily whisper at people if they looked anywhere besides their own paper. I was sitting by the window when something caught my eye outside. I couldn't help but stare for a few seconds. The teacher pulled me into the hallway and berated me without even giving me a chance to explain that I had seen a homeless person stroking his shaft in broad daylight. In 2nd grade, I got in trouble in math class for knowing that 3/5 equals -2. I got told that I wasn't supposed to know about negative numbers yet. One time in class I got detention for, I swear to God, looking at the teacher. I had never had a detention before. So my best friend tried to get one with me because I was losing my mind over it. She threw papers. She yelled at inappropriate times. She went to the bathroom without asking. Nothing. It. I didn't expect this to blow up. I'll relay all of the kind comments to my friend. Also grammar. That is a great best friend. I've been punished for getting beaten up. School violence is weird. You are getting punished for no hitting the attacker but you are too for hitting him. Remember kids. If someone hits you, you're gonna get punished anyway. I was extremely shy and awkward as a child and the principal threatened to suspend me if I didn't look people in the eye more. Grew up with a kid that never spoke unless spoken to. For whatever reason he unnerved teachers and they'd try relentlessly to get him to open up to the point where they'd threaten him with punishment, etc. One day he's had enough and says to our teacher, Jesus Christ, I just don't like talking. I'm not you. He had in school suspension for a few days which he liked because it was sitting in a room, talking to no one, doing your work and going home. He's a long haul truck driver now. Perfect job for him. Bully in 6th grade put me into the trash can in the locker room. Gym teacher comes in and yells at me for being inside the trash can. Extra laps. Jokes on him, I love running. I got pulled into the principal's office in high school because a bus driver believed that I had passed it while it had its stoplights out. The reason they thought this wasn't due to my plate or anything. It was just due to my car type, which was a white pickup. In Texas. To the entire class after someone's phone rings. Whose phone went off? No response. If you don't tell me, then the entire class has to stay behind. No one says anything. Entire class is forced to stay for an extra 10 minutes and think about what you've done. I expected the reveal of the phone actually belonging to the teacher. I threw a pine cone at a tree. Duck you, Sarah. My English teacher was giving out handouts. I was the last one in my row and let her know she missed me. She then sent me to the dean, who didn't believe me when I told him why I was sent there. After he called her to confirm, he just told me to sit tight for a few minutes then go back to class. I was later told by friends that when he called her, her response was, well, he was so annoying. She also once sent a classmate to the dean for blowing his nose. One time in elementary school, I got in trouble because a friend stole my homework paper and copied it without my knowledge or permission. In a geography test, saying that Greenland is the world's biggest island because Australia is so much bigger. In a later test, from the same teacher, saying that Australia is the world's biggest island because it's a continent and thus doesn't count. The correct answer is Greenland. Was homeschooled. Said Sweet Home Alabama is not the greatest song of all time. Got grounded for a month. Refusing to read the part in Old Yeller the day after I had to put my dog down. For putting my paper in the wrong place to turn it in. My 3rd grade teacher hated me. My friends and I used to lightly slap the top of the doorframe before we'd go out to recess. Because we thought we were like NBA players and we were cool like them. I have APD, auditory processing disorder. Think dyslexia but with words. Except it only happens occasionally, and I didn't understand what the teacher was ordering, so I asked him to repeat it to me and he pulled the line of, did I stutter? So I simply told him I wouldn't know. Because I didn't hear you in the first place. I was immediately sent to the principal's office and given 3 days in school suspension. It was business class in middle school. Wasn't business. It was just a basic computer and typing course. I typed 120 at the time. And the teacher typed around 70. I remember one time I finished the whole week's assignments in one day and asked her if I could do anything else. I don't type with correct form. So she forced me to type like that. And I typed around 40 WPM. She hated me. Anyways. One class I had finished all my work 30 minutes early and I was drawing. I put it away as she was walking by because I was satisfied. And she made me take it out. She said that's not the drawing. And looked through my entire bag. She took out a drawing of a sword. And gave me a referral. It wasn't allowed because it was a weapon. TL. DR. Teacher looked through my bag. Found a drawing of a sword. Gave me a referral because it was a weapon. In middle school, a substitute teacher for computer class confiscated my $30 headphones. It was a gift from my parents, over the fact that she believed I was listening to inappropriate music. We were allowed to play music videos from Yahoo in the background as we worked. I was listening to the newest music as was everyone else in class. She pulled me up in front of everyone and said the music videos I was playing had SZL content and that she understood I was just going through a hormonal bloom. WTF. But it's still inappropriate for the learning environment. My face turned beet red and I just sat down in embarrassment. I still have no idea what was so inappropriate, especially since I wasn't even watching them. The worst part is that I asked my regular teacher the next day for my headphones. And apparently she either took them or threw them away. I'm still mad and confused about this lol. I attended a Catholic high school. Dress code no sneakers. Had cut on my foot and had to wear sneakers. Mom wrote a note and I showed it to my homeroom teacher. She sent me to the office to get it signed. Office secretary was confused and wrote me a demerit. My one and only. I accepted it with honor. 4th grade, we had a fire alarm go off during some considerable rain. In our line after everyone got checked on attendance. I went on my knees, threw my hands in the air and yelled, "Why? Smokey? Why?" I was trying to be funny, but the teacher didn't like it and called my parents and made me sit in during recess the following day. In kindergarten, my teacher was handing out these worksheets with shapes and I already knew how to do it. Since I sat near the teacher, I got my paper first and decided to finish it as soon as possible. I circled the correct matching shapes and sat calmly at my table. When the teacher came back around the classroom and saw that I had completed my sheet, yelled at me, took it away and forced me to put my head down. Later, when the kids went out for recess, I was told to stay in my desk. I never understood what I did wrong to deserve such a cruel punishment for a 5-6-year-old. I said, "Oh my god, this is stupid," and got sent out of the classroom. But it wasn't for disrespecting the teacher. It was because I took the Lord's name in vain. Full stop. Full stop. I went to a public school. Did anyone else have those color charts for behavior? Green was good. Yellow was a warning. And red meant a note home to your parents. We made paper mache planets in 2nd grade and hung them from the ceiling. We had the strictest teacher in elementary and were given instructions not to touch them. My desk was near Jupiter and hung the lowest since it's the biggest planet. I stood up one time to use the bathroom and hit my head on Jupiter. My teacher thought I did it on purpose and skipped from green to red on the color chart. The only time I got a red card was when I hit my head on that dumb paper mache planet. Clearly, I'm still bitter. Selling candy to other kids. Used to go to Costco and buy bulk bags of candy and snacks, then resell them for a small profit. School didn't like it because I was cheaper than their vending machines, so they wrote me up for panhandling. Possession of paper clips. They became a weapon in 7th grade. Starting with the outermost part. Unbend each bend until you're left with only one bend. Unbent. It will look like a candy cane. Or a fish hook. Put a rubber band between your thumb and index finger. And I'm sure you can figure out how to launch said paper clip. We were getting them stuck in the roofing, denting the blackboard. And then someone even shattered a glass picture frame on the wall. Best was Joey getting hit in the back of the neck during silent reading and hearing him yell "duck." I went to a private Christian school. And in the 1st grade, I brought in my Pokemon card collection for show and tell. I got sent to the principal's office because my teacher said Pokemon cards supported evolution and magic. Back in 4th grade, I was obsessed with Yu-Gi-Oh! And my teacher took my entire deck because she was such a devout Christian. I went to a public school. I ended up stealing it back. And I still laugh at it every time I look at my old deck box. I only ever really got in trouble in elementary school. A friend of my sister's, 12 years older than me, was an aide at the school. I could never remember her weird last name. But one day I needed to ask a question, so I simply just called her by her first name like I would outside of school. Got a recess detention. Laughing when a fellow student I was friends with dropped their pencil box. Got yelled for laughing at them despite the fact they were also laughing and I was helping them pick up their stuff. While frustrated with some sort of crafts project. Saying fudge under my breath. It was too close to the word duck supposedly. Recess detention along with being lectured. Not really punished. But had a teacher give me death glares during a standardized test for coughing too much. I had bronchitis and should have been at home. But the school told me and my parents I had to be there unless I wanted to repeat the year. Got in a fight with a jackass. He threw a textbook at me hard enough its spine cracked. I was charged for the textbook. My collar was under my hoodie instead of being visible outside of it. Some other kid took a pair of scissors and cut me in my lip. I was 11 or 12 or so. I walked to my teacher, who was in the middle of taking a test on the other half of the class, hands covering my blooded lip. Instead of asking what happened, He decided to make me stay after school for disrupting the test. This was long ago, but will never be forgiven or forgotten. You know that love calculator game website where you put in two names and it gives a percentage on how compatible they are? I was playing it in 6th grade with a few of my buddies, and I got in trouble for it because it promotes sexual behavior. Saying the word Shrek. The word got banned because of the Shrek is Love Shrek is Life video a few years ago. I continued to joke about it. Answering a question correctly in online homework then being marked incorrect on the problem. Subsequently contacting customer support for the product who paid $189.99 to access for homework and learning that they are incompetent to fix even the most simple issues within their own program. TLDR. Sitting down and doing my work on a whiteboard when she told us all to do our work on a whiteboard. Obviously your whiteboard was a little dirty, so you were in trouble for using an off whiteboard. Teacher said, if anyone doesn't want to learn, feel free to leave. I left the class. Gotta hate it when kids do what they're told. Getting books from my car at break. They'd taken lockers away years before I got there, and thus expected us to carry everything we needed for 5 class periods before lunch. One of my friends in primary school had serious anger issues and some behavioral mental problems, and our teacher never dealt with him properly. She pushed him and only made him angrier. So one day at the end lunch he exploded over something. Can't remember what. And one of his other friends and I pulled him aside to try and calm him. Everything was fine for a while and he was relatively calm, but we were late for class. Our teacher came over and started screaming at us for being late. We tried to explain, but she was having none of it. He just lost it all over again and ran off. We all got detention for it. Seriously, if you don't know how to handle kids, why are you a teacher? I got pulled aside and talked to for writing in cursive in kindergarten. I was told I couldn't do that anymore because none of the other kids could. I didn't understand why that was my problem. I just thought it looked cool and my grandmother taught me. In grade 4 I was bullied often, but this one particular day one of my bullies went to the extreme for some reason. I was sitting in class working on an assignment where we would use colorful shaped blocks to make an image. Afterwards we would write about what we made. I would often get excited and quickly show my teacher what I did and try to feel accomplished. At the corner of my eye my classmate, who is also my bully and was sitting next to me at the time, was sharpening a pencil. I didn't pay too much attention to it because I thought he was doing his own thing. Lo and behold, he was sharpening his pencil to stab me in the ribcage. I was on the ground, bleeding and in crazy amount of pain. In the end the guy got off free while I was suspended for a week without any context as to why. It.